Hi everyone, this article in the Straits Times, High Court highlights district judges' failure to provide own analysis in judgment. And essentially, it reminded me that recently, when I reviewed one of the school's answers provided for their students' promo exams, I was quite shocked because the answers provided by the school teacher is rather atrocious. And so, when I read further, that the judge apparently just used substantial portions of the prosecution's submissions. So basically, it's something like a copy and paste job, right? So this is kind of repeated here as well. In fact, it's the second time the judicial officer, the judge's conduct has been publicly highlighted. So in 2023, he was also found to be just copying and pasting large chunks, wholly unsatisfactory. And reading this, it just made me wonder whether, is this the reason also why I found the school's answer guide satisfactory as well? Could it be just a copy and paste job, and that's why they got so many things wrong and so many things that were inappropriate? So I'm looking at this. The question, explain the impact of price ceiling. So price ceiling is a focus, and then consumers and producers. So it's impact of price ceiling on the consumer and on the producer. Alright? So this is the school answer guide. I'm not going to say which school it is. Perhaps you will know that it is from one of our IB schools. So anyway, we'll proceed. Define key terms. He defined price control, blah, blah, blah. Actually, there's no need to define price control. This is not wrong, but there isn't really a need to. And even the definition of the price control, thus preventing the market from reaching a market clearing equilibrium price, that isn't the real reason for implementing a price control, right? Okay, so this answer in itself is not very good. And actually, it is not relevant to the question. You should just go straight to defining what a price ceiling is. So the definition given here is price ceiling is a situation where the government sets a maximum price. Okay, that's fine. Usually I will use the word legal. So I will include the word legal maximum. I'm just going to put it here. Legal max. But not a very big deal. Below the market equilibrium price, this is not necessarily true. It is usually set below the market equilibrium price. And when it is so, it is known as an effective price ceiling. So not a very big deal, but to be more accurate, I will say usually set below the market equilibrium price. Then that's called an effective price ceiling. But price ceiling itself could also be set above the market equilibrium price or even at the market equilibrium price. Theoretically, those are also possible options for the government. So this part, not very big deal. Government usually implements price ceiling to ensure affordability, blah, blah, blah. This is fine. So now we go further. Explain the impact on consumer, producer. Diagram is quite fine, except I personally have a lot of issue over this labeling of the black market price. This is not the only school that does it, but I'm not going to quarrel so much about this for now. But I'll just register with you that personally I don't agree with labeling a black market price because we do not know what the black market price is. There's little reason to believe the black market price will be here. In fact, a lot of assumptions are made to notate such a black market price. That is for perhaps another session, so I'm not going to elaborate further. Effect on market outcomes. Lower price instead of the market equilibrium PE. Here, a slight improvement needed. They should at least establish this equilibrium was achieved where demand equals supply. Then, because of the imposition of the price ceiling, prices are forced to be no more than PC, and that's why the price dropped to PC. This part is still okay. Lower quantity of QS instead of QE will be transacted. It's true, lower quantity of QS over here instead of QE will be transacted. That's fine. After this, got a little bit of problem. At PC, not all interested buyers are willing and able to buy the good, are able to do so because there's not enough demand of the good supply, giving rise to a shortage. So this part is not wrong, but personally, when I explain price ceiling, before I even talk about this, I will explain that due to the fall in price, there will be a rise in quantity demanded. You must explain this part first, right? Before you go into talking about the shortage or the excess demand here. And due to the fall in price, there will be a fall in the quantity supply. Right? You must explain how the price ceiling got us here. Quantity demand over here, quantity supply over here. Explain that first. Then point out that there's a shortage. Now, starts becoming problematic. Look at this whole thing. Right? Personally, I will say, I will notate this is irrelevant. Look at the question. Does the question requires us to consider whether there's under or over allocation? Does the question requires us to consider whether there's allocative efficiency or not? Or inefficiency? No. This is completely irrelevant stuff, right? So after we have done the above, we should really dive straight into consumers. So consumers will experience a lower price of PC instead of market equilibrium price PE. That's fine. With no price control, the market determines price PE. So this is why I have this left-hand side, so that you can also take a look as we talk about the rest of the analysis. With no price control, the market determines price PE and quantity QE at equilibrium. Honestly, this is something that you should have already talked about earlier, right? So this one not really needed, okay, but no big deal. Consumer surplus. Now you should define what the consumer surplus is, right? You shouldn't say, the area under the demand curve and above PE is equal. But please define consumer surplus. Define what is consumer surplus. Then you talk about originally consumer surplus is ABC. This is correct. Okay, this part is correct. But please define. Okay, define what consumer surplus is, and then say that at the market equilibrium, consumer surplus is ABC. With a price ceiling imposed, only QS is produced and consumed. Consumer surplus is now the area under the demand curve and above PC and up, but up to only QS. Consumer surplus now becomes ABD. This is fine as well. So essentially, what they're trying to say is that from ABC, you go to ABD. Correct. Now, what's the problem I see here? So did the consumer surplus increase or not? There's no analysis. You just tell me ABC, ABD. So what's the impact? Did the consumer surplus increase or not? Right? So in fact, the impact on consumer surplus is ambiguous. That is something that I will say. Impact on consumer surplus is ambiguous. It depends on whether area C or B is larger. And you can even talk about what is area C and what's area D. These are relevant elaborations, right? What is area C? How come the loss of consumer surplus due to what? Loss of consumer surplus due to the fall in the quantity consumed. Because instead of QE, they're now at QS. Right? Whereas area D is the gain. So this is area C versus area D. Gain in consumer surplus due to the fall in price. So this is about impact to the consumer. The fact that the impact on the consumer surplus is actually ambiguous and that it will depend on whether C or D is larger. Of course, graphically, it looks like D is larger, but in reality, we don't know. So talk about this and not just leave it as ABC, ABD. Next, they talk about fall in expenditure, that's fine. P times QE to PC times QS, that's fine. Prices fell and quantity also fell, so the expenditure will fall, okay? They talk about some consumers who may not be able to get the good at price at the price ceiling due to the shortage, may turn to black markets. That's fine. This is a good point. Okay, I would say this is a good point. This is a further impact on the consumer. It's good. Okay, and then they explain a little bit more about the black markets. Okay, the main thing is that it's illegal, right? Because they're going to be selling at price that's above P max or PC based on what they have notated here. So let me just follow price ceiling. In the case of price ceilings, there are special kind of price rationing. Firstly, I don't think we're going to talk about this. This is not useful. And secondly, it's irrelevant. They involve buying a good at the maximum legal price. I don't understand why they want to explain how the black market works, and then illegally selling it at a price above the legal maximum, up to the price PB. As I said earlier, I disagree with this. It is really very hard to say, right? In a black market, you're telling me that they can only sell up to PB. No, not true, right? You never know. Some black market prices may be transacting at a higher price. So all these things anyway, what are we trying to say? Are we trying to talk about black market or are we trying to talk about impact on consumer? Can you see that it's gone a bit off point? Underground markets are inequitable and frustrate the objective, which is to set a maximum price. Can you see? So what is the comment that I will make that very often teachers write on student script? NAQ, not answering question. Unfortunately, I have to do this to a school answer paper. It's not answering question, right? So instead, you should stick to impact on consumer, right? So what we should basically say is that prices now may be even more unaffordable, right? So could be even less affordable to the consumers. Black market prices could be even higher than the original black market price. Could be higher than PE, the original equilibrium price. So now it could be even less affordable to the consumers. So we are still talking about impact on consumers instead of going off point to elaborate so much about how black markets function and about the objective of price ceiling and equity and so on. Okay, which is, well, there's a little bit of overlap. Okay, less affordable. But here I'm directly answering the question about impact to consumers. Producers, lower price. Okay, that's quite obvious. Again, it's kind of a repetition. You don't need this. Honestly, it's not wrong, but well, we don't need this. Producer surplus, again, please define your producer surplus first. Area under P and above the supply curve, so they got the areas all correct. Okay. Price ceiling. So basically, I'm not sure why I don't see. Okay, fell to area E. So this time they are very clear. Okay, they talk about the change that it has fallen. So this one, okay, no problem, fine. Revenue also very straightforward, fine. Now, then they say excess demand, which is shortage we saw earlier. Price mechanism no longer able to achieve its rationing function. Then all these points about rationing function, price rationing, non-price rationing methods, first come, first serve. What am I going to put here? I'm going to say NEQ. Unless you find some way to link to impact on producer, which is not a very big impact on the producer, I'm going to say, especially what they've explained here, there's no impact. I would say no. The distribution of coupons to all interested buyers so that they can purchase a fixed amount. But who's going to do that? Producer do that? I don't think so. Right? It's going to be the government that do it. Favoritism, the sellers can sell the goods to their private customers. I think maybe this could be, firstly, this is not very likely to happen, okay, unless the government is so screwed up in implementing the price ceiling. Secondly, it's more of an impact on the consumer rather than impact on the producer. Anyway, the important point is really we don't need this. Okay, this one is not needed. Personally, if you have time, I would say from revenue, you should link to profits. Profit equals revenue minus cost. So if your revenue is going to fall, assuming cost unchanged, profits will also fall. So that's what I will do about improving the answer on the impact on producers. So quite a lot of NAQ stuff. Important definitions not done. Important analysis about consumer surplus not done. Again, this is also same, irrelevant, not answering question, NAQ stuff. Other than that, it is fine, but you can see already quite a lot of issues. How many marks will I give for this question? I think I will give maybe a 6 or 7. So let's say 7. Why? Because a lot of key definitions are missing, and then this one, which I think is quite important, is also missing. And all this irrelevant stuff basically just leaves a very bad impression to the examiner as well. And also, imagine how many paragraphs of irrelevant stuff. You are incurring opportunity cost. You could have gone on to do your part B and do it better. So that's why it really frustrates me that the answers that are given by the school is not perfect or close to perfect. Obviously, we expect answers given by school teachers to be perfect or close to perfect. Would you like my view on part B? Because I look at it, it is also problematic. So if you would like, please provide your comment, provide your request as once you have completed watching this. Final thing to say, well, I must tell you all that coming up with complete answers to economics questions is a tall order. It's not easy, and I'm sure I also have made mistakes here and there as well. So the most important thing is to not be going to flame the school teachers or the school and so on. Okay, the most important thing is hopefully all of you who are watching this video will learn from this, and then hopefully it will also somehow get to the teachers involved as well, not just for this school, but I think for every school, on the areas of improvements that are needed. Frankly, this is quite a common occurrence, right? If I have time, I will put out a lot more videos to show you. Okay, these are answer guides that my students consult me on, right? That's why I get to see this. My students consult me on this. Is this correct? Is this sound? Okay, I don't understand this part. And unfortunately, many school answer guides for economics okay, is not so desirable. So there are a lot of areas for improvement, and may we all improve together for the benefit of our students. See you in the next video. Ciao.